Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Very Biased Opinions. It is time for another review of another Oxford United game. It is Ian with you as always, and I am joined by a special guest. It is friend of the channel, it is Patreon backer, and it is a guy who has been touted by Carl Robinson as an Oxford United aficionado. No, wait your turn. Robert is here to talk about Oxford United being Plymouth. Hello, Robert. Welcome back to the channel.
Hello. I'm just a bit confused. I only thought I was allowed on this channel when Oxford had lost.
Spoilers.
Has there been some sort of admin error?
Yeah, I know. I don't know what's happened. I'm not sure how it's ended up like this. But for once, you do get to join me to bask in the glory of an Oxford United victory. So very, very good for once. Because this one did end in a must-win game for Oxford. It did end Oxford United 3, Plymouth Argyle 1. We're going to just unpick the layers of this one slightly. But before we do, just going to do a couple of quick rapid-fire questions, Robert. Are you ready?
Ready.
Right. Yes or no? Season over?
No.
Okay, that one was correct. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Super League. Well, I actually got that one wrong. The correct answer was, of course, thumbs up, because the Super League is what we all want. So 1 for 1 in that one. But before we get into this, Robert, the game's just finished. It ended 3-1 to Oxford. What are your thoughts after this very enjoyable game against Plymouth this afternoon?
It was a very good game to watch. It sort of felt at times very low pressure, really. The first half sort of meandered on. We started badly in the second, but we got better. And then we finished quite comfortably, really. There was none of that last-minute panic. There was none of that desperate doing our usual thing of giving them a goal to make the last 10 minutes a bit more jittery than it has to be. It was all in all quite a routine and relaxing watch.
Yeah,
not what you associate with Oxford.
We'll unpick the layers of it. I mean, Plymouth did give us a helping hand. Let's not forget that in the first half. And there was panic at the start of the second half. But then once we scored soon after Plymouth equalised, it did feel like it kind of broke the back of the Pilgrims, and Oxford ran out pretty comfortable winners in the end of that one. So let's start with the lineup, as I'll put it on the screen now. Brannigan was past fit. We had Sykes and Lee in the middle. We had Adji and Shodipo out wide and Taylor up front. I had question marks over whether Shodipo should have started. And I also am a bit, what is the situation with Goran here now? Why is he not playing at all? Like, is he more? If he's fit enough to come on and play, why is he not fit enough to start?
It does feel like Robinson's having one of his moments where he's turned against a player, doesn't it? Because you just feel like he suddenly seems to be he was raving about Brannigan's performance in the middle. He was, in deep. He was sort of making him sound like he's the next Claude Makelele, sort of like coming in. He's sort of talking about how amazing he is. And I think he's trying to maybe phase Goran out of that role. So,
well, I would be fair to Brannigan. I think he's excelling in that role. And I think so. I think his range of passing today was exceptional. I thought some of his passing was brilliant today, and his tackling and his intensity is really good in that position. I wasn't also a big fan of Shodipo starting. I think he's a bit out of form. I think we could have even played Ford starting in that position. I think he maybe would have given us a bit more. But again, I'm not really going to question it too much, because I do like Shodipo, and I don't think he's a bad player. I just think he's a bit jaded at the end of the season. But still a strong Oxford lineup. I mean, Plymouth rung in the changes as well. We thought it would be a very open game. Judging by the first half, it was an extremely open game. Oxford could have been about 2-0 up in the first 10 minutes if we'd taken our chances, but we just seemed to be one of those days where we didn't want to take one. Plymouth have looked very dangerous, especially from wide areas. A lot of players that like to run with the ball and run through the lines, and they were very, very enjoyable, both sides, very enjoyable to watch. But it just felt that the shooting boots weren't on for either side, and credit for Oxford in terms of the way we defended. If we did get beaten and it looked like we were stretched, players did get back to make blocks at crucial times, and we stopped Stevens from really having a lot of work to do. But Oxford did get the lead in this one. Do you want to talk through this goal of the season contender, Robert?
Yeah, it was a very good finish, actually, by Edwards. The ball comes into the box, Edwards gets it, and he beats the goalkeeper on the near post. I mean, that is an absolutely cracking finish that, Matty Taylor would be sort of like pinning that goal up and sticking it on his fridge.
Yeah, it was sort of the one you watch live where you saw it and you saw the net rougher and you're like, how the hell has that gone in? And then you see at the end it was a very pacey ball in by Elliot Lee, which no player would have got near. Really, I don't think.
No.
And it was just one of those unfortunate things. The Plymouth player, he has to defend it, and it's just unfortunately come off his head and gone into the bottom corner. Look, if you thought we didn't get the slice of luck against Wimbledon, then that's evened itself out there with a huge slice of luck. And very much in the balance, but you felt with Oxford in the league that the energy levels might have gone out of Plymouth at the second half, but Oxford did go in leading 1-0 at half-time. Winning 1-0 at half-time with a game where we had to win against a side with nothing to play for, you thought Oxford would come out and cruise this second half, but wasn't the case, was it, Robert?
No.
What did you say to them?
Well, Cole obviously decided in a tactical genius to go, lads, sit back. Let them run at you.
Yeah.
Don't bother putting pressure on them. Let them come at you.
Yeah, make sure you balls up every pass. Make sure you give away cheap free kicks. Just give Plymouth the ball time and time again. But yeah, it was a sloppy start, wasn't it? And we got punished by Plymouth eventually. You felt the goal was coming, and eventually it did. But just why do we have this tendency to start either a first half or a second half really slowly?
It seems to be a feature that we are starting. A lot of times we start the second half quite poorly. You're noticing that where, like, the first 5-10 minutes we're really letting them put pressure on them. And I don't get why, you expect it to happen every now and again, but it's routinely happening that they're putting pressure on us. And the goal was coming. They were putting us under a lot of pressure. We couldn't clear our lines. And eventually they broke free and they got, it was a well-worked goal. It was a good through ball. And, they scored a decent goal. And it costs us. This is basically what has been costing us throughout the season, really. These sort of little sloppy patches in the game. And, better sides than Plymouth are actually punishing us.
Yeah, from a defensive point of view, I thought Oxford, while they weren't going well, I thought they did at least the effort didn't drop in terms of the intensity of trying to keep the ball out of the net. And I thought, again, they did keep a good job of keeping Stevens protected. Even with people like Sykes getting back and making really good blocks at key areas. But as you say, really good goal from Plymouth, a very, very attractive side to watch. And Mayer with a lovely through ball to Ennis, and he got in on goal, and his finish was wonderful. Stevens had no chance. The sort of finishing Oxford haven't been showing a lot of late. Yeah. Certainly you saw elements of, like, Elliot Lee had a chance, didn't he? And he would just overrun things. This was the clinical, got the ball out of his feet, curled it into the bottom corner.
I mean, it was the best goal of the match.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the own goal was probably the best goal of the match. And Plymouth deserved to be level at that time. And at that time, it was just like, bloody hell, you felt like, is this going to be another game like Wimbledon where we throw it away from a winning position? But this time, Oxford were reactionary, and it does get frustrating that we have to wait to be level before we react. But we did get a quick response from Oxford, and we got back into the lead. A well-worked goal, good move between Sykes, and it was Sykes crossed it in low, and Taylor was just there to tap it in from about 3 yards. It just looks like it was. Taylor's a funny one, isn't it, this season? Because there's so many games where he misses chances and he looks like out of the game. But he came up good for us in this one when we needed him.
Well, the fact is, you look at him, he's got 17 goals now for the season. And you wouldn't expect him to have that many. And there's no penalties in that, as far as I can recall. The
one against Tranmere is still on the way up.
Yeah, I know, but there's no penalties, and he's consistently got goals. Even in a season where he's not been at his best, he has got goals for us. I mean, as I think I said in the comments, there's an outside chance he could finish with 20 goals for the season.
Yeah, if he absolutely right. And again, but if you asked him, he'd probably say he's had a poor season.
Yeah, and that's a poor season, and it's nearly 20 goals, which you can't really knock.
But we needed him today, and he was the match winner. And I mean, and again, a couple of real classic poachers finishes, really. And that one was a tap in. He did his best to miss it, but it went in on the other side of the bar. And constantly all through the game. And the guys who were Plymouth fans on our live stream talked about how weak they are at defending set pieces, and they seemed to get worse as the game went on, really. Some really optional marking was really optional from them from set pieces. And Elliot, from a set piece, Elliot Moore got free. He did well to keep the move alive, but it just looped up in the air. No one marking Taylor. Goalkeeper stood static, and Taylor was just able to hook it in again from about 3 yards. That was like 10 minutes to go. It was very plain sailing from Oxford from them. A very good victory in the end for Oxford United. I don't think we have too much more to dwell about this one. We needed to win the game, as we've said. We've moved up into 5th position in the league now. So it's all very bunched up there. I think I'll just slice in the league table now. As you can see, it's got Oxford on 68, Blackpool 68, Portsmouth 68, Charlton 66. Obviously, a few teams with games in hand in that one. But all very tight. But Oxford back in that playoff picture. I'll just ask you a few questions to lead out. Anybody you think stood out and had a really good game today?
I thought Mark Sykes had a good game, actually. I thought Mark Sykes generally played quite well, and he's improving. And I thought Adji again looks an actual real danger. He still makes stupid decisions. He still sometimes gives the ball away, but he's a threat. And he was far more of a threat than Shodipo was. And I thought it was ridiculous to take him off and leave Shodipo on and bring on Ford. Nothing against Ford, but Ford should have come on for Shodipo.
No, I don't think the argument we had was against Ford coming on. It was against Shodipo actually coming off instead of Shodipo, just because Shodipo had been quite ineffective in the game. Yes, I agree with you on those ones. I also think Brannigan had a good game as well. I thought, again, he's very, very much led that team, really. And I know Moore's the captain, but Brannigan felt like the captain out there today, and he led by example on the field today. It's a very good performance from him. So, yeah, you've touched on the main gripe from Robinson in that one. We've touched on that. There's nothing really to add. We've got 2 games left now, Shrewsbury and Burton. How confident are you of winning both of those games?
For someone who's actually quite pessimistic, I'm reasonably confident because, as we were saying beforehand, both sides have got little to play for now until the end of the season. That's not to say they're going to go in and not try or anything stupid like that, but there's not much riding on the games for them. It's been a long, crappy season for most teams this year. No fans in there. There's about 3-week break between the closed season and the start of this, and so it's been a long old slog. And you can't blame some of the players of mine's starting to be a bit tired and switching off if there's not so if they haven't actually got anything to really play for. So that stands up stead.
Absolutely, especially Shrewsbury, I think, who've still got to play Tuesday, Saturday for the rest of the season. So they've got a game Tuesday. So hopefully they'll be knackered and gassed by the time Oxford play them. And you feel like if Oxford can take the lead in that game, Shrewsbury's effort level will fall down. But they'll want revenge because we did beat them quite recently by a handy scoreline. But and other than that, how confident do you feel about Oxford getting into the playoffs at the end of the season now? In a percentage-wise? 50-50?
I reckon it's probably a bit less than 50-50. 60-40 against us, I reckon. Okay. Just because there's teams around us who've got... I know they've got to win the games, but they've got the chance to, and they are in fairly decent form themselves. Yeah. So I would say we're relying on a lot of teams to slip up rather than ourselves. So I could probably see us finish 7th or 8th and maybe like a handful of points off outside the playoffs. So, and then you're looking at the if onlys, all those drop points and silly games that we've dropped points throughout the season. But it's a better finish than I was expecting us to have.
Absolutely. Right. That will just about do it for this video, I think. Thank you, Robert, for coming on once again. I'm sure there are things we've missed in this match. So if you can put comments down below, that'll be absolutely great to just catch us up on anything that we did miss. It's a wonderful win for Oxford. We've said all the way through this week, all the way through the stream, all Oxford could do was win, and they have won. So let's not flood the comments with, oh, the other teams have got games in hand and stuff like that. We know that. Let's just enjoy the fact that Oxford United have won a game of football. Plymouth fans as well, give your comments on the game. We'd love to hear from you. If you can give this video a like, that helps us out so much on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. If you want to be a member of Patreon, like this good man here, you can join the Patreon. The details are down in the description as well. But we haven't got anything more to add to this video. So just check out the rest of the content on the channel. And we'll be back very soon with more videos, more Oxford United videos and more general content. Thanks very much. See you soon.